Good evening, everybody. It's Margie the Bootleg Knitter. How's everyone doing today? It is Saturday evening. I'm hanging out at home getting some stuff done. It's been a very productive couple days. So today is the 4th, right, hon? It's the 4th. Mr. Bootleg Knitter is hanging out over here watching the Steelers and the Bengals. Okay, it's the 4th. Coming up this week, again, is the farm show on Wednesday. So again, if you're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area on Wednesday, and you go to the farm show building, it's also called the farm show. Anyway, I know it's a little weird. It's like their big agricultural fair. It is a lot of fun. And my team will be competing in the sheep to shawl competition that begins at 3 o'clock. And we have 2.5 hours to complete a shawl from the raw sheep all the way through. It's in the small arena. And my team is the bad girls. If you look behind me, yes, that is a reindeer skin. So I had a relative, actually a brother, that went to one of the Scandinavian, Norwegian countries up there. I'm not sure which one it was. And he goes, oh, I'm going up there. Maybe Denmark or something like that. What should I get, Mom? I'm like, oh, they have beautiful textiles. If anyone has ever seen the textiles from that part of Europe, absolutely beautiful work. Get Mom a textile. Get her a wrap. Get her, a shawl. Get her, some of the beautiful needlework they do. What does he bring her home? A reindeer skin. Yeah, a reindeer skin. She was like, oh, this is just great. So, Mom lives with us. We are taking care of Mom because she has diminished capacity. And so the reindeer skin is right there on our wall. If you see right here behind me, these things right here, 1, 2, looks like a person there, and 3. My father was an archaeologist, and they're like some of his collection of stuff that he found at various places where he could keep the items. If he was in a historical location, they were not allowed to keep the items. So what am I doing? Well, excuse me. I just finished a pair of mittens. A friend goes to me, I love dinosaurs. She even has like tattoos of little dinosaurs on her leg. Like for each family member, there's a dinosaur. So she goes, can you make me a pair of dinosaur mittens? So I'm like, yeah, sure. But I'm like, I didn't want to do a stegosaurus because like making all those little triangles, it's not hard. It's just a pain in the butt. Like making all those little triangles and then sewing them all on. So instead, I did a stegosaurus. Look how cute they are. So for the shield, I crocheted and I did like a little chain 2 and then slip stitch for the edge at the top. See right here? That was a chain 2 slip stitch to make the little crown at the top of the, I don't know what this is called. I call it his head shield. I think it's a horn. I don't know. And they have 3 horns, Triceratops 3. 1, 2, and then a smaller one that goes in. So there is Mr. or Mrs. Triceratops. And now, interesting, I did the same exact number of stitches on the second one, and the horn came out a little wider. Maybe I was a little more relaxed on the second one. I don't know. So let me put it on my hand. You can see. Here we go. How cute, right? All right. Stay up. There we go. There we go. Mr. and Mrs. Triceratops. And I also line them, excuse me, line them with some fleece to make them doubly warm. So these are my Triceratops mittens from my friend. So she will be getting them on Monday. I think I showed this already. This is a cowl that I crocheted, and then I added some beadwork at the top just to dress it up. Really, really nice, soft. See, this is llama. I bought at the Leesport. There's a fiber festival in Leesport, Pennsylvania every fall. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, I believe, right? Weekend before Thanksgiving. And really good fiber festival. It's grown bigger and bigger every year. And there's a lady that does llamas. And so this is her llama yarn. Can't remember the name because I don't have the card with me right now. So what am I doing right now? Excuse me. I don't know where that came from. So I have a friend. I actually met this guy My husband calls him my mountain man boyfriend. Love you, Pete. He actually did historical, like recreating, whatever you want to call it, and he would be the mountain man, so it's appropriate. So he has sheep, and he asked me last year to make him a sweater with some of his Gotland sheep yarn. He took the sheep's fiber, took it to a mill, and got it made into yarn. So I made him a really nice gray. The natural color of the Gotland was gray. It was just 2 simple cable knits down the side. The rest was just plain knit. And the sleeves came totally up to the neck. Very cool. So there's like a ridge here. Kind of looked like an epaulet. Very military looking sweater. Really nice. Came out amazing. I was like so happy. He was so happy. Then I also made him a pair of mittens and 2 pair of socks. That's all last year. So this year he goes, can you please make me a cable knit sweater from my Shetland sheep yarn? So this is a cable knit sweater. You can see the cables. This is a pattern that I made up. This is actually yarn that I spun as well. This is from Wensleydale sheep. I got the fiber from Flying Fibers, which is, I think it's Lancaster or York, Pennsylvania. I can't remember which. When I go down there, it kind of all blends together, but it's Flying Fibers in Pennsylvania. It's either Lancaster or York. Really, really awesome place. Go check it out. And she's big with the Wensleydale, which is a British breed. So I got the fiber from her. I hand spun it. It's actually a single. So some people are like, what can you do with a single? A single means it's just 1 ply of yarn. So this whole sweater, so I have a cable there. This whole sweater is a single. I have some seed stitch and some straight knit. So it was my design. So I love this sweater because it's like, from start to all the way to finish. So he goes, can you make me a sweater, a cable knit sweater? So we've been talking about this for probably almost a year. I think since I finished his last sweater, he's been talking about the cable knit sweater. So finally he sends me a picture. He goes, I swear I stopped this guy. And he's like, I love your sweater. And he took a picture and he sent it to me. Well, the guy's sweater is dark green. And if anyone is a fiber person, they know that it's hard to see the stitches when you have a darker yarn. That's why most cable knit sweaters are usually light colored, so you can see the stitch work. Once it gets the darker colors, it does not stand out as well. It's harder to see the stitches. So I'm like studying this picture on my phone. I brightened it as much as I could brighten it. And then I'm like, all right, I kind of have an idea what you want. So then I went on numerous websites and I literally probably looked at 300 to 400 different cable knit, or Aran as they call it, Aran, Aran style sweaters. Probably 300 to 400, almost 400. My eyes were like crossing, right? To try to find one that looked as close as possible to what he wanted. So then I went on the Aran.com website. If you go on the Aran.com website, they have Irish clan sweaters. And he picked one of those. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink of tea. We have the heat on. It makes it dry in here. It makes my throat tickle. Okay, there we go. That's better. So he picked out, I sent him, I think, 4 from that website. And then I sent in 4 others from other places, locations that I found patterns. I can make the pattern up, but trying to look from that picture, again, it was really hard to see the stitches. So I'm like, listen, here's some ones that resemble the one that you picked out. Which one do you want? So he picked out one from the Aran.com website. It is the Ryan sweater. Doesn't have a picture here, but there's the sweater, Ryan. And he's a large man. I'm having him double check his measurements. I'll get him in the morning. I'm probably doing the 44. So when you get the pattern, it has the glossary of all the different stitches. So here's my glossary of stitches. And it explains what they are and what they supposedly represent. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different stitches, or 9 different patterns, I should say, within the sweater. There's the cable, the diamonds, the tree of life, the ladder of life, the honeycomb, the trellis, the zigzag, the Irish moss, and the Trinity. Once again, they all mean different things. And then it has what size needles you need, what the measurements will be. So it takes a size 6 and a size 8 American needle, which is 4 millimeters for the 6 and 5 millimeters for the 8. So I have my, I like this. They're like square knitting needles. They're wood, they're square, they're very, really comfortable in your hand. So this is my size 8. And for the gauge, you have to do double moss stitch. So that's what I'm doing right now. So what the gauge determines is that what you're knitting matches what is in the pattern. If you go too tight, it's going to be too small. If you knit too big, it's going to be too loose. If it's too small, you have to go to a bigger needle size. If it's too tight or too big, you have to go to a smaller needle size. So the gauge is double moss stitch. Double moss stitch is, in this case, it's the knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Do that for 2 rows, and then you opposite. So here's it gives a very textured look. So you can see I have the 2 purls, the 2 knits, the 2 purls, the 2 knits, and you alternate across. So it's double moss stitch. So I have to do this for 24 stitches for 24 rows, and it should measure 5 by 4. Now the yarn he gave me is his Shetland sheep, and here it is. It's pretty thin. The Aran sweaters, most Aran sweaters are made with thick yarn. Aran yarn is, right, when you look at different yarn sizes, you have the really, really thin, the lace weight, and then you have the sport weight, or sock yarn, sport weight. Then you have DK. This is supposed to be DK. It's pretty thin. You see, it's pretty thin. You have DK, you have worsted, then you have Aran. So Aran is thicker than worsted. So I'm holding 2 of these together with the size 8. And I think it's gonna be hopefully on the money for the gauge. Some people are like, I don't do gauge, but if I'm substituting a yarn, so this is not the yarn the pattern calls for. The yarn, you can buy the yarn right from the company. It's actually cheaper. Like I like to use good yarn usually, you know, like, all right, these are acrylic because, yeah, they're acrylic. But like for a lot of stuff, I like to use really good yarn. If I'm making an Aran sweater, I'm not going to use acrylic. I'm going to use good yarn. So I can get the yarn and the pattern for like $90 something, and a sweater quantity. So that's a lot of yarn from Aran.com. But again, I'm using his Shetland yarn, which is definitely a lot thinner. So I definitely want to do a gauge to make sure that it matches. So when you get these patterns, like I said, he's size 44, there's all the different sizes. I think my download was 46 pages. And this was page 27, 28, 29, 30. 27 to 30 were these pages for this. I think the smallest size is maybe a 32. I can't remember. I have to go back. I wasn't looking for that, like what the smallest size is. But when you buy the pattern's $9 and something. You're getting all the different various sizes. So, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So I said, really, really busy. And I actually drove out to Quakertown today, which is almost an hour, and met him at the Quakertown Farmers Market, which is not bad. I got some apple maple meat sticks. Absolutely delicious. That was my lunch. Kind of sort of. I did make lunch when I got home, but that was like my snack to hold me over till lunch. What What else do we buy? Oh, I got Mom some donuts. Mom loves her donuts. What else did we get? Oh, I got Mom wine because she likes her wine. She doesn't like one night a week. She has some wine, not a lot. It's not good for to drink too much. Try to think what else I bought today. Oh, I got some rye bread that was absolutely amazing. So for lunch, I made a grilled cheese and chicken sandwich on rye bread. With toasted it in the cast iron skillet with olive oil. It was with really good olive oil. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's what is happening. So I will be showing you the progress for this sweater. I said this is just the gauge. And then if this matches, I will start the sweater tomorrow. He's going to double check. He's going to take the sweater I made for him and he's going to do the measurements just to make sure the measurements, are on the money. And then also what I will do, this does not have a picture. Is there a picture? It doesn't have a picture of, like, a lot of times when you get a pattern for a sweater, it'll have like a rough outline of a sweater and it'll show the measurements and then you can count the stitches per inch. This does not have that. It does have the measurements. Like I said, it should be at underarm 46 inches. So that's around the body. So that would be 23 inches. 23 inches for the sweater. So I'd have to do how many stitches per inch in those 23 inches. So I will literally just draw a sweater and figure out my stitches per inch. And then when I do the pattern, I'll make sure that the stitches per inch match what I have written down. Because when you design a sweater, that's what you have to do. You have your little sweater, you have the different sizes, you have to figure out how many stitches per inch and do accordingly. So yeah. Has the abbreviations, has your stitch glossary. It is a little complicated. I've made one of these before. And it's not written like a normal pattern, like row 1 do this, row 2 do this. That's not how it's written. It's absolutely nuts. So it does take some yeah. You gotta like really read it through. And I remember when I did it last time, I actually drew it out on the little sweater that I made. Like drew out all the different, like I know I think it's honeycomb here, and then it's a cable, and it's got some kind of triangle thing next. So I'm actually going to draw it out on the I'm going to draw the little sweater, draw the pattern out on it, count the stitches each one should be. That way I have a real strong visual before I actually start to knit so I don't mess it up. If it was for me, I wouldn't care, but it's not for me, right? And I'm getting paid. So I have to be like on the money. So, yeah. Craziness, right? He says I'm crazy. My husband would probably agree. Right, hon? He's not saying anything over there. He's being smart. Yeah. So, I'm going to go back and watch the football game with my husband, do my gauge. Hopefully get the gauge done by tonight. And then tomorrow is Sunday. We are not supposed to be getting any snow here. Maybe a coating. I'm so bummed. All you lucky people in South Jersey that are getting like 3 to 4 inches or more. And South Pennsylvania, I'm jealous. I want a good like 1 foot, 2 foot snowstorm. I know you're all saying, no, don't wish for that. But I miss some good snowstorms. But I guess that's it. If you guys come to the farm show, give me a shout out. Again, I will be with the bad girls. Say, hey, Margie, saw your video. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great night.